Okay, we'll go ahead and open for questions for Ricky. If you have one, please raise your hand, state your name and affiliation, and we'll start with Tyler.
Tyler Burnett, Motor Racing Network. I have a quick one and then a follow-up. How was the party is the first question I have.
Yeah, the party was good. We had a lot of friends, and my mom, dad, and sister drove overnight to get there. So they weren't at Daytona, but they came to the party, and we had probably 65 or so people there. A lot of kids and their families and wives of my crew guys came, and that was very neat. So it was cool to spend the day with them and just cook out, eat, and play games and jump in the pool. So it was a good time. And then Ryan Blaney and I were the last ones standing at 3 o'clock or so, and then had some media stuff to do the next day. So luckily, Andrea didn't schedule that till later in the day.
And my next one, you have a similar background to Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, these guys who were winning races not only in NASCAR level, but with USAC and sprint car racing. Is there something to winning in those cars and then the confidence that comes with it onto the racetrack here?
I think so. I think, showing up, doing what, Kyle's been doing in a sprint car is pretty tough to do. And, I had the opportunity back when I was racing sprint cars all the time to, run Ohio Sprint Week like Kyle did this year. And we won 3 out of 5 races in 2006. And that was a big task and, a huge goal that I accomplished. And so for him to do it when he's not running full-time sprint cars is impressive. And then, just going to get and run different cars and, trying to adapt to different racetracks and changing conditions, I think is, just keeps you sharp and definitely, brings some confidence to what you're doing over here. So I think it plays into it. It's a lot of fun. I'd love to do it a lot more often. I don't have everything in line to do that like Kyle does right now. He's got a good system lined up that he's been, working with for the last few years, and it's been paying off for him. So I definitely think it brings confidence, both sides.
All right, Chris, go ahead.
Chris Knight, catchfence.com. Ricky, when did you get to talk to Jack, and what did he say?
I called him Sunday, and he didn't answer, and he called me back on Monday, and he just got back to Michigan from out in Mount Rushmore, and he was super excited. I finally got to see him today. He wasn't at the shop all week, but just pumped up that we got back to victory lane again. Bummed that he didn't get to be there to enjoy it with us, but he now expects more, so which is good. We expect to keep thriving to try and get back in victory lane some more, especially when Jack's there. And it's always special to win in this series. It's tough, and he's won a lot of races all across the board in NASCAR, but we went through a dry spell there in the Cup Series, and so to get 2 of them this year has been pretty special for us.
Did he say if he watched the race, or did someone call him, or how did he find out that you won?
I didn't even ask. I'm sure he watched.
All right, I believe Gary had a question.
All right. Yeah, Gary Graves, Associated Press over here. Getting your second plate win, how confident does that make you coming to a track like this? And granted, it's just a small sample, again, of races, but how much confidence does that give you coming into a place like that of kind of breaking into that category with Kyle and Brad and Matt Kenseth?
Yeah, it makes me feel good to get our first win, and then to back that up at Daytona was pretty special. I never really thought myself of being a speedway plate racer, but we've had good finishes there, but I think it was a matter of circumstances to keep getting decent finishes, taking a car that maybe wasn't fast enough to go win, but still finish really well with. And then the guys have been building really fast speedway cars over the last year, and to take advantage of that was pretty important for us. We knew that we were going to have an opportunity at those racetracks to win, and so we wanted to make sure that we were able to capitalize on that. And so to capitalize, on 2 out of the 3 so far makes us feel really good. coming into Kentucky after a second win, you feel pretty confident about what you're doing in your company to get better. Even though it was a totally different racetrack, we're still putting the same amount of effort into all the other racetracks we go to, like we are our Speedway program, and we're seeing better results. Our fifth, third, Ford was pretty solid today. Not 100% happy with it, but felt like I had a little bit better speed than I did last year here. And over the last few mile and a halves that we've been to, I thought we were a little bit better. So it definitely brings a lot of confidence in the team, no matter what track you went on.
All right, Jerry, go ahead.
Jerry Jordan, KickingTheTires.net and PRN. You won one restrictor place, and some might say you got lucky, but you had so much success in the Xfinity Series. Your road to your first and your second win was long. Were you ever doubtful that, did you ever get discouraged during that time period?
Yeah, I think, I definitely was discouraged and, kind of fed up with not winning. When I was in the Xfinity Series, going a year and a half, almost 2 years without winning before I won my first in the Xfinity Series, kind of the same way. And then once you finally get the win, and then we got another one, and then the next year we won 6, and then won the 2 championships, and then similar on the Cup side, just a little bit longer wait. But it feels good. Once you finally click off that first one, it gives you confidence that, hey, we can do this as a team. I can do this as a driver. Puts you in a different mindset and mind frame, especially when it comes down to the end of those races. That you know what you're supposed to do, and you know what you're capable of doing. And then it kind of just breeds the confidence at every track you go to. For me, myself, the mindset that I have coming into Kentucky, even though I hit the wall early last year and blew a tire and crashed out of this one, I put that behind me and, feel like, hey, we can, we get things right. Let's contend for a win here. And so it definitely was discouraging, and, you got to dig deep and look inside yourself to make sure, hey, you got to keep pressing forward and show how much you want to do this. It'd be nice.
Go ahead.
Jared Peck, Lexington Herald Leader. How have you adjusted? This is halfway through the season with the stages. Have you adapted the stages? And talk about the importance of the playoff points, which seems to be a pretty big deal now.
Yeah, we actually haven't got as many stage points as what we've wanted to get this year. I feel like we've gotten good finishes in the races in the final segment, but in the stages, the first and second stage, we haven't been getting those points the way we want, and that's really kind of shifted the point standings. If you look at the people that have gained those stage points, they're really far ahead in points, and they've kind of gapped themselves. And those stage points is really what has helped Matt Kenseth get, claw his way back into, a battle for that, the playoff points. And so I feel like we're behind on that. We haven't gained as many as what we wanted. But right now with 2 wins, we're really all we're concerned about is a stage win and race wins, because you got to try to gain as many points as you can for the playoffs, and those are the only 2 things that are going to get that job done. So I think everybody's enjoyed the playoffs or the stage racing, and it definitely has given us another opportunity to play strategy, knowing when cautions are coming out, and if we can make a call throughout the race tomorrow that allows us to maybe get a stage win, and even though we might give up some track position for the following stage, I think you'll see us try that.
All right, Caleb, go ahead.
The Whistler Speedway Digest. For the first time in 2 years, we've come to Kentucky Speedway without a new test of an aero package. How refreshing is that to know that you can be able to use the notebook that you gather throughout the whole season?
Yeah, it's nice. My notebook wasn't very big last year after our race. We only ran a few laps. But, my teammates' notes last year, they ran really well. Greg ran 6th with my crew chief, Brian Patty, and Trevor ran really well too. So we came real similar to that. This place is tough with a lot of downforce. So the less downforce is fun. It's challenging, and we enjoy the challenge, but it's definitely tricky. So it's what makes Kentucky unique. Getting in turn 3 is tough, but if you can get it right, you're going to be good on Saturday night. So we were trying to work on that all day.
Brody, go ahead.
Brody Miller with the Indianapolis Star. You've been vocal about, your friendship and impact of your late friend, Brian Clausen. With the Brickyard coming up in a few weeks, does that bring the extra meaning going back to, his home state?
Yeah, it's going to be neat. Driven to Save Lives has, done a big campaign around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Did a big thing around the Indy 500, and so they got a big presence there. So it'll be neat to see that campaign and see a lot of familiar faces. His sister will be there, and friends and family, and it's always nice to run up to the midget shop there in town, see Tim, and talk to Tim just about every week. And so it's nice to be able to go see him in person, talk to just about everybody on the phone, throughout the week. And so it'll be nice to be able to hang out with them, go to dinner with them, have them come to the garage and stuff. So stuff that I did before Brian passed, and just kind of continue that with everyone there.
All right. Any final questions for Ricky? Okay, we'll take our final question up front.
Mark Story, Lexington Herald Leader. Ricky, with Dale Jr. retiring, I've read some of the other drivers say that they sort of see a huge fan base sort of up for grabs. Other than winning races, are there things you can do to try to, get some junior to junior transference?
If I was running first and he was running second, I could let him win, and that would probably gain a lot of his fans for next year. But no, I think there's definitely going to be a void there with him not racing. But the way I look at it, I doubt there's going to be any one person that's going to take all those fans. I think it's important for us to make sure that we keep them fans of the sport and engaged with what we're doing. And there's a lot of us, drivers that I feel like we'll gain fans from that, and we just go do what we do on the racetrack, and hopefully they'll follow along. So I think winning at Daytona and Talladega probably can't hurt. He gained a lot of his fans at those racetracks, and so we'll try to continue that, but it's going to be tough to just really take his fans.
All right, Ricky, we appreciate your time today, and we wish you best of luck
Thank you.
this weekend.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Larry McReynolds with NASCAR on Fox. I want to welcome all the media members that's in attendance here, as well as everyone that's tuning in as far as the live stream. You got a huge announcement here today involving Kentucky Motor Speedway, Speedway Motorsports Incorporated, as well as Quaker State. And sitting to my right is Jim McCormick, the Vice President of Quaker State North America. And to my left, Mark Simmendinger, who is the General Manager, President here at Kentucky Speedway. Quaker State and Speedway Motorsports, as well as the track here at Kentucky Speedway, it's going to be some pretty exciting news in my book, especially when I look at where our sport's at today, relating to expanding current affiliation in both business and as far as motorsports. But before we announce it, I've already had a couple of questions. Where did you get this shirt? So I know people say Buick has not been in the sport for probably 25 years, but those of you that's been covering the sport for a number of years may remember there was a Quaker State full-blown sponsored race team back in the late 80s, 1990. It was owned by the drag racer Kenny Bernstein. He gave me my first opportunity as a full-time crew chief with a top sponsored team in 1986, and my first 3 wins as a crew chief in the Cup Series came with the Quaker State Buick. The number 26 car, Ricky Rudd, we got our first win at Watkins Glen 29 years ago. And then we won Sonoma in 89, and then I got a win with Brett Bodine at North Wilkesboro in 1990. And the 2 things I'm proud of, it still fits, and my wife was very proud to see that. And yes, if I stood up, you would see that there are grease stains on the bottom, because crew chiefs actually used to work on the race cars, if you can believe that or not. But, because of my history with Quaker State, it made me so proud when they asked me to come here for the Quaker State 400 and to be a part of this press conference. So, Jim, your relationship with Speedway Motorsports over the years, and you've got some pretty exciting news about the entitlement here at Kentucky Speedway.
Absolutely. Thank you, Larry. We're actually really excited today to announce that Quaker State will continue its title sponsorship of the NASCAR Cup Series race here through the year 2022. And ultimately what this is, it's a continuation and an extension of the very successful relationship we've had with SMI since the very first inaugural Quaker State 400 7 years ago now. I think when you look at the recent changes to the schedule, I think it's really clear now that NASCAR, SMI, and Quaker State are very much committed to staying and being right here in Kentucky. And we're very excited to be able to continue that for a number of years ahead of us. I think Quaker State and SMI have created some really unique experiences here. We've worked really hard on creating a great place for the fans, to create a new experience and to create something new and different, if you will. I mean, to the extent of things like bringing in FLW and Jimmy Houston, Tommy Pike Customs, a first of its kind Pit Zero hospitality unit at the entrance of Pit Road, and the green safety walls, the green towels, and so on, continuing to develop that relationship with our fans here in this area. And as Larry mentioned, we do have a very long relationship in motorsports. I was trying to explain to Larry earlier, the shirt he said fits, he said it was snugger, but that's actually the new style, that slim fit. And we just got to get him used to wearing that. But actually, Larry was a Quaker State team winning crew chief, and we're really proud to have this relationship here with Larry. I think lastly, this is actually the perfect race for the Quaker State brand, which prides itself in being a very tough motor oil and working and delivering in very tough, extreme conditions. And interestingly enough, Mark, the Kentucky Speedway is a tough track. It's a tough place to win. And ironically, this race has only been won by champions. Every winner of this race over the past 6 races has been a NASCAR Cup champion. And I think that is indicative of what we're trying to deliver here and the message about the Kentucky Speedway and the Quaker State brand. And so I would just say that we're extremely excited as a company and as a brand to continue our relationship with the Kentucky Speedway, and we're really looking forward to working with SMI.
Well, thank you, Jim. Mark, what does it mean to Kentucky Speedway as far as the continuation of this affiliation?
Well, Larry, you know, I've been around here from the very beginning, back, you know, when we first even thought about building Kentucky Speedway, and I would have to say that this is probably as important a day as we've ever had here, because when we started out in 2011, we're the new kid. We're still the youngest, but we were the new kid, and we have been forming our identity. What's the place all about? And for us to have Quaker State not only sign on in 2011, but this is the second extension. We had one extension. Now we have this extension, which is taking us all the way to 2022. When we have an international brand like that is a leader in its industry, a leader in motorsports, and they say, I want to be there with those guys, that's validation that speaks all across the country. That's better than any marketing or anything I can do. Everybody knows Quaker State is here because they know what's going on, they like what's going on, and they want to build their partnership with us, and we will continue to do that all the way to 2022. So from our standpoint, our employees, we are thrilled beyond words. It's validation for the hard work that we've done. The other thing is, we're kind of getting to be like family now. I mean, you know, we love the people that we're working with. We really couldn't even dream of doing this race with anybody other than Quaker State. And we're committed to continuing to build that Quaker State brand here through everything that we do all year round. And so, Jim, thank you so much for the confidence that you've placed in us. I can assure you it is well-founded, and we can't wait for the next 5 years.
Well, I'm going to brag on Quaker State and Kentucky Speedway a little bit. As most of you know, as far as my broadcasting, I'm always trying to dig into the history and numbers and what have you. And as Mark mentioned, with Quaker State 400 started in 2011, and to his point, when you look at 2022, you know, you're talking about a 12-year affiliation. And to my knowledge, there's no other race that has had the same sponsor from the beginning through that length of a period of time. And I think that says a lot about the commitment that Jim and Quaker State has certainly made to this race, to NASCAR and to Kentucky Speedway. I know we're going to open it up for some questions, but before we do open it up for questions, we're going to do some photos, and I think we actually even have something. We're going to celebrate this continuation of this affiliation with Quaker State and Kentucky Speedway. If I eat that now, my uniform top won't fit much longer, so how about that? That's awesome.
So I think if you want to come on around, we'll get some pictures, guys. How about you taking in the middle of it? All right.
All three of us.
You got it? All right. Here we go.
See that? You'll get one with just Mark and Jim now. I'll slide out.
Perfect. All right. I think we have some couple of questions and time for that. So, Jerry, you want to start us off?
Jerry Jordan, KickingTheTires.net and PRN. Larry hit on my last question there a little bit with his statement, but for you, Jim, why is a company like Quaker State and their parent company, they seem to be doubling down when some companies are going away from the sport? What is it that is so attractive, other than just the general mix of NASCAR and motor oil, but what do you see here for your company?
Great question. Thank you. There's a couple of key things that we see. First of all, this is actually the proving grounds for our motor oils. We test these here in engines, and if we can get it right on the track in these conditions, we can get it right for our consumers that want motor oil that's durable, long-lasting, and can perform for what in most cases is the second largest investment for Americans, their vehicle. The second piece is there's a connectivity, as you know, with motor oil and motorsports. And NASCAR being the single largest motorsport event in the United States, it gives us a venue and an opportunity to interact directly with our customers in a way that they're very familiar with and that they actually speak the language. And I think there's a third piece to this, and it's that the Quaker State heritage, as Larry mentioned, has been going on for a very long number of years with a high degree of success. And we are doubling down now, and I like that phrase. And we're taking it to new levels now because we think there's still significant growth. Matter of fact, we think explosion in NASCAR motorsports, and we want to be a part of that, help develop it and grow it. Yeah.
Other questions? Just raise your hand and we'll get a mic to you.
Where's Claire at? I know she's got a question.
Claire was in here a moment ago. Anybody else? All three gentlemen will be available for one-on-ones after we're done. So if we don't have any other questions, we'll go to one-on-ones, and we do thank you for your participation this afternoon. Congratulations to Quaker State. Congratulations to Kentucky Speedway on the extension. Thank you.